So that was the last installment of the MTN Faz Super League for 2017. Week 38 action was the coronation ceremony for ZESCO United as champions of the 2017 season. 2018 is coming up, and some interesting teams are joining us next year. Kawa Youth Soccer Academy, Monze Swallows, who also have Quito United coming back to the MTN Faz Super League. Good evening, welcome to the show. Emmanuel Zita Tembo is my name. So week 38 action, so ZESCO United coronated as champions at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. We also had a 2-2 draw in Kabwe as Power Dynamos were the visitors to the magnificent People's team. So all that and more begins a culmination of Premier analysis on this here QTV Experience Home. Our feature match for today is ZESCO United's debt with a team that was trying to avoid relegation. That was my team, Mufulira Wanderers, at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. To help me with that one, joining me tonight is Howmine coach Kelvin Kaindo and former City of Lusaka City Council coach Vespa Janza. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's get cracking. Let's start off. Welcome back home. Your team, Zanaco, once a banker, always a banker, finished number 2. But what do you make of your former teammates' work so far this year?
I think it was quite an interesting season. If you look at the league where you have 4 teams competing to be crowned the championship on the last day, shows how much our league has improved, and it shows that there's so much depth among the teams that are participating, and you have 4 teams that could be crowned as champions on the last day. It makes it very exciting. Probably the most interesting game was the ZESCO United versus the mighty Mufulira Wanderers, where one team is trying to push and gain the crown and the other team is trying as much as possible to fight relegation. I think it was going to be a very, very good game.
Okay, welcome back home. How's Zimbabwe, by the way? Vespa is here week in, week out.
Yeah, Zimbabwe, I think it's okay. We had some moments where I don't know how many messages I received from back home, people asking how the situation was, but I think we're all right.
Okay, safe and sound. Yeah, it's good to see him back home. Let's get cracking with this week's analysis. So our feature game was at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. That's ZESCO United looking to win the Juglaven and mighty Mufulira Wanderers trying to avoid the dreaded draw. Let's have a look at the 2 selections. That was Justin Chinama, the visiting coach, versus Tenan Chembo. So mighty in the red on your screen and ZESCO in the orange. So ZESCO United went for a 4-2-3-1 formation with jersey number 24, Enoch Sabumukama playing in the hole and Lazarus Kambole leading the line. In the wide areas were shed number 11, John Chingandu, and the second striker probably was Jesse Jackson Were, who had the first right to join the attack. And of course, just playing between the lines was Enoch Sabumukama. Back 4 pretty much settled, and the 2 anchormen were pretty much a settled configuration for ZESCO this term. We had Kondwani Mtonga and Anthony Akumo, and we had the central defensive pairing of Marcel Kalonda, number 5, and Adamba Ben-Ban, number 4. The fullbacks were Faxon Kapumbu and Silimba. For Mighty Mufulira Wanderers, on the other hand, they went 4-4-2 in this one with Lewis Macha, shirt number 22, and Joseph Kasongo leading the line, whilst in central midfield they opted to play Obrich Chamulwanda as the defensive midfielder, and the creative cog was Joseph Stanley. They went with the back 4 of Wayne Museva, Nchimunia Munene, Mbelenge, and of course Chewe right there. Julie Manziba and Sakulanda played in the wide area. So this was the selection, Vespa. And I'm thinking immediately, this is a team that is fighting relegation, but these are the ones that say, okay, 4-4-2. Brave.
Yeah, Zite, looking at Chinama's system, I think he thought maybe he can try and contain ZESCO before maybe going forward. Because if you look at ZESCO, the way they started the game, I think you could see that they were prepared of winning the league. If you look at their attack for this game, the way they started scoring I think they scored in a minute. Zite, you could see that they really wanted it. Look at the organization, the way they were organized from the midfield, their transition moving up with the way they were trying to interchange passes, whether they are trying to run away from, of course, you always see him trying to move out of his position, maybe trying to create space for Chingandu to get it. But you could see that it was a team which was well prepared, and looking at the Chinamazi system and the ZESCO system, which we are trying at least to get more goals.
Okay, now I'm just thinking, Kelvin. I look at that team and I'm saying these are brave men. But who was the more confident looking at those two lineups? Mighty, of course, playing a team that is able to play the ball. They are good in possession, and that's where their strengths are born. And on the other hand, Mighty decided to go with a 4-4-2. Would you do that against this ZESCO team that you've seen this year?
Yeah, I think mainly it depends on the philosophy of the coach, and like we are saying earlier on, both teams were desperate for a win, and for them to have gone probably the basic and the old formation, which is the 1-4-4-2, it's the quality of players that they had, and they believed they needed to win that game. This was an open game where both teams desperately needed points, and the strength of Wanderers, I think we have known Mighty Mufulira Wanderers to be a team that is knocking the ball around, and ZESCO United have got the pedigree, they have got the experience, they know how it feels to play in the Champions League. They have been there. I think they ended up in the semi-final, and probably they are gauging themselves in the way they perform in the Champions League. For them, winning the league, I think, is just an option. There's Anako and ZESCO. They are the two teams that are always contesting for the championship.
But you know why I'm asking this question is, you've got Aubrey Chamulonda, young man, but Joseph Stan, the number 8, when you play 4-4-2, you're asking him to go box to box. Link up play, become square when we lose the ball. Isn't that a tough shift for a player that's in the afternoon of his career?
Yeah, looking at maybe the edge, I've been out for quite some time, and I can't probably pick most of the players by names, and it's a bit difficult. But the way you are describing the player, I think, is the player who is probably in his late ages in terms of playing, and it will be very demanding if you ask him to go from box to box. I think also maybe he's being isolated when you play a formation where you have 4 midfielders, and definitely if you have 4 midfielders, you have 2 wide players and probably 2 in the mid. And looking at the size of the pitch where they were playing, I think it was quite big for him to cover such distance. I think it was too much work.
Okay, so that is the situation. Would you have reservations right there? When you say, okay, study, creative player, Amban leading this team. We need to win this game. Forget about what has happened this year. But I'm sure those were the intricacies that they needed to deal with. Would you probably bring one of the strikers to play a more traditional number 10 role as opposed to standing square? That's Kasongo and Macha, of course.
Yeah, of course. Looking at the way their system was, Zite, they can adjust you. Sometimes they try to call the number 7. You know, sometimes they may go wide. He may be the number 11. You call him, maybe try to support him, especially when he's coming with the ball. Sometimes you find the player who is running with the ball, he's coming, he's always trying to see who is coming for his support, so that maybe he can try to keep more energy for him to be reaching on the goal. But if some players, you know, they have a tendency of, if his colleague is coming with the ball, they also try to run away from him, maybe trying to think maybe that's when he will have more space when we reach near the 18. But you need to have a touch at least to create a space for him so that he can have more power at least to be reaching near the goal.
Okay, so let's begin to dissect the variables in this game. ZESCO United transition attack. Let's just have a look at this one, because ZESCO United are a good ball playing team, and you quickly notice that Mighty Mufulira Wanderers, yes, they'll get the number 10, Joseph Stanley, of course, very experienced in those areas. But the one who was picking him up was Anthony Akumo. And in the wide areas where Julie Manziva, the number 28, would come into the half space, Kondwani Mtonga would be picking him up there, and you'd have a 1v1 situation regarding the central defenders and the two strikers for Mighty. But of course, we generally saw Jesse Were playing a very disciplined role, playing like a number 7. But of course, when ZESCO United are in attack, he would actually provide support for the number 10 in the circle now, Lazarus Kambole. I'm looking at the transition now, Kelvin. You look at the two fullbacks. When Museva and Chewe actually go up and leave Mbelenge and Munene alone with a very pacey Lazarus Kambole who's playing on the shoulder. And like Fed would have it, the first goal they conceded, that was the situation where there was a breakdown. ZESCO United win the ball and one pass into space, runs on the shoulder and beats them for pace, and John Chingando arrives in the 18 and actually scores from a cutback. Should Mighty Mufulira Wanderers should have been thinking about this one, and it comes back to the formation they're playing. Is Chamulwanda there alone worrying about Enoch Sabumukama even when he doesn't have the ball, the number 24?
Yeah, first of all, like I said earlier on, I think in my preamble, I don't think Mighty went there to defend. They probably were also looking for 3 points for them to confirm if they were able to survive relegation. But if you look at that graph that we had, the way they were defending, when you allow both your fullbacks to move in the opponent's area, it becomes very difficult, especially if the team that is attacking you, they have a quick transition, which we are saying ZESCO United have got a striker that is able to expose the opponents in their back line. And you see both their fullbacks, according to the graph, they are pushed to go and defend where they are defending high. It becomes a bit vulnerable, but that shows that Mighty was also desperate to get the maximum points, and they were going out attack to just probably get the result.
Should they have been thinking about what if we lose the ball? Right there, you concede. Before you do anything in this game, the first thing you do is concede. And we're talking about those tactical overloads in this game, Vespa, where ZESCO will play the ball. ZESCO will get players running out of their positions and going to create overloads in central and the wide area.
Yeah, Zite, there's always, when you are attacking, you think of a counter attack, which every time you would want to attack, you attack as a team. I know when you lose the ball, you always come back and mark as a team. But if you look at the way they are trying to attack, I think of late, if you've watched Mighty's games, I think you would also say they missed one of their guys who was, I think, an influential guy for most of the games they've been playing.
Rahim Osman.
Yes, I think they had also missed that guy up front there. Maybe Zita, that's where you could see even maybe some mistakes being made. But of late, with that same guy, you could see that Mighty was coming into the team within trying to fight relegation. But it's a pity that things went the other way around, Peter. But if you look at their attack, it can show that that guy was missing in the team. But for them, anyway, it's bad that they've lost.
They've gone down. But anyway, I just want to bring this point. Now, when that happens, you're vulnerable to the break. So if you choose to play two central strikers, or one, because if it was Rahim Osman, they would probably play one and play the other one as second striker. But if you have your two strikers playing up top and they are playing square, like Macha and Kasongo were playing on that day, I'm just thinking immediately, if you want to play like that, high, and pin ZESCO into their half like that and use a man-intensive attack, you have to press high. But again, the pressing wasn't that good. That's why maybe that ball went in and found Lazarus Kambole, and yes, that's why they conceded in the first minute.
It depends on what tactics that you have, and most of the time the tactics, sometimes they work according to the way you plan, and sometimes they don't work. Probably the opponents will be tactically superior than you, or probably on that day things will just not be working right for you. But I believe Mighty also put up a fight, and I think they managed also to score. That shows that with just a bit of luck, they could have got something from the game.
Yeah, with a bit of luck. But I'm just thinking, in this game, you probably needed a number 10 to track, a number 10 to probably stop the two central midfielders for ZESCO United from starting play and constructing play. And right there, you bring into question Joseph Kasongo and Macha. Probably one of them needed to start dropping. Should the instruction have... And I'm just thinking, is it instinct, Vespa and Kelvin, that when you say, okay, we're going to play ZESCO, the team talk has dealt with certain issues, but immediately you are playing ZESCO and they are playing out, one of the strikers has to say, hey, we've lost the ball. It's time to defend.
Of course, you find that, especially when you are playing teams like ZESCO, Zite, ZESCO has a lot of international players, Zite, and some of these teams, if you look at Mighty, it's a team, yes, with young boys and a bit of old experienced players. But when you are meeting a team like ZESCO, there is a lot. Yes, you have a lot to so like you have to check on how their system is working, how they are playing. You find that even inside there, ZESCO players themselves, they can even change the system and play their own system, because looking at the way Mike was also trying to attack. But because I'm sure you saw in the first minutes of maybe 10 minutes, you could see Mighty trying to win the game, Zite.
All right, so let's have a look at Mufulira Wanderers in attack and just begin to evaluate what was a dogged fight they actually provided for ZESCO United. Now, here's what happens when Wanderers are trying to attack. First off, you have their two wingers, shirt number 19, Sakulanda, and number 28, Julie Manziwa, running inside and probably trying to attack the half spaces. And you have the two strikers still in 1v1 situations. And of course, you have the stringer, the number 10, Joseph Stanley, who's trying to bring them forward. And they were able to create some opportunities, especially on the left-hand side of the attack. It was a central attack and ZESCO, and maybe they were trying to profit from that space in between the lines, Kelvin. But it worked. I mean, they got the equalizer and they got the lead. What do you make of the attack structure in this match?
I think Might put up a good fight. I think it's the last game that we're playing, and there was a bit of pressure on them. I think we were reading that there are people who have come on board to just support them financially, that they keep on and probably stay in the Premier League, which probably it's good for the team, but it came a bit late where there's so much pressure. There's pressure for you probably to get the incentive, and also there's pressure for you to get the result, and made it difficult. But if you look at that graph, the way they were attacking, the only problem that they had is when they lost the ball. As you could see, ZESCO had two holding midfielders, which were making it easier for them to play, especially when they received the second ball. And the gaps probably between the back line and the forward strikers, I think the forward attackers for Mighty, I think there was quite a distance, which made it difficult for them in terms of transition to move from defending to attacking, or from attacking into defending. I think it made it a bit difficult, but playing a last game and you're playing to survive the relegation, I don't know. I've never been in that experience, but I think it's very, very difficult.
But are you, as a player, used to play in the wide areas, would you be comfortable with a narrow attack, or you'd want them to be expansive, use the flanks, use the wings? And by the way, you're playing with two strikers, so why not play some wing football and get in some crosses?
If you have got a team that is capable of having very good wingers, I think it's an advantage. If you have a team that is able to break in the opponents in the wide areas, probably it's the most difficult type of defending that most teams do not understand. I was playing as an outside wing, and probably my strength was to taking on the defender and probably bringing in those crosses. I tell you, if there's one thing that is difficult for a team to defend, is the crosses that are coming in. it's very easy for anybody to defend a long ball that is coming in the central defense. But once you have got a team that is able to penetrate in the wide areas, it's very, very difficult.
Very difficult. Okay, now, I'm just thinking, if you look at who Justin Chinama deployed in the wingers, you had Julie Manziba. Yes, not your typical number 7, because he's got that affinity to want to cut inside and affect the game. And yes, that's how he got the 2 goals and happy. But I'm also looking at who was manning the left wing. It was Sakulanda, right-footed, playing on the left. And we did see a lot of Chewe providing with it, even when Museva and Chewe were going up the flanks, Vespa.
Yeah, Zita, not very easy to beat a team like ZESCO United, especially when you are attacking using the wings. You've seen of late ZESCO United in their attack, they are using their wingers from defense. So you also look at the way you are attacking, because if you just lose the ball, they become strikers, the same defenders. You've seen Kapungu trying to overlap, and he's the one who is even making crosses there. So even when you are attacking a team like ZESCO, you need to at least you need to plan. You don't just attack because you know now we are attacking a team like ZESCO. They are very good, especially when they are trying to defend. But Maite's attack, you could see that they were trying also to use the wings. If you look at the goal which they scored, the second goal, he dribbled like he was passing in the cones, which he came from the wings. He came in. I'm sure the coach here, I saw him some games he was playing when he was he also used to do that. You know, sometimes when you fail to go to the byline, you try to maybe use a dummy and you try to maybe get from inside. Sometimes you find that the defenders on the middle, they always want to send someone to block for them instead of going in. And no wonder you hear an advantage to even go and he had a chance of scoring.
But I'm thinking, you seem to be defending that decision because both of the wingers were practically operating in the half space. Then, ZESCO United, the most populated area of the pitch, is where they are going. Okay? Kondwani Mtonga will be very comfortable defending in the half space. So will Anthony Akumo and tracking Joseph Stanley from deep. I'm just thinking, are we then justifying that the 2 goals they got, they were good value for what they were trying to do, and therefore it was not necessary for them to play with Widith or the wing play, or it should have happened, could have happened, but the people who were supposed to provide that Widith are the fullbacks, Wayne Museva and Chewe.
Yeah, I think ZESCO probably realized the mistakes that they made, I think, when they considered those 2 goals that we are talking about. But if you look at the back line for ZESCO, let me talk about their fullbacks. They are both international. You have got Simon playing as a right back, and Simon is a convicted defender who was playing as a midfield, very strong, is able to go forward and come back. There's a Faxon Kapombo playing as a left back, very strong, probably very good when he ventures forward. He's got those long throws, he's got good crosses. I think he's got the ability also to, if you give him chance to shoot, he can shoot. But for them to have caught those 2 goals, I think it didn't come as a fluke. I think they worked hard for it.
They worked hard, so the idea was probably to send Kapumbu and Simon in the half space to mark from there. But again, the mighty fullbacks not going up that man.
Like we saw in that graph, I think it was always going to be difficult for ZESCO, for Mighty Mufulira Wanderers to contend ZESCO. I think ZESCO, like we said earlier on, they have got the pedigree, they have got the experience, and they know how it feels to play in the Confederation, how to play in the Champions League, and they were not going to let it go in their fingers. And the only thing that they needed was a win. Not the goals, just the win, because they were slightly comfortable in terms of the position where they were. The game for Zanaco, it was not bearing anything in their result, and they just wanted a win. I think it was not a 5-0 scoreline. They just wanted a win, and that's what they did. And Zanaco also, first half, it was difficult. I think it was still 0-0. and Zanaco just came back. I think in the second half they changed their tactics. They managed to capitalize on the mistakes for Forest Rangers. They lost a bit of control. They had a red card, and Zanaco capitalized and managed to get the 2 goals. But I think it was good for ZESCO. Congratulations for them to pick up the championship.
You seem to be saying that with a very heavy heart. But let's have a look at ZESCO United's condensed attack in this match, because wherever I was watching from, I was just saying, Lord and behold, if ZESCO United begin to get Faxon Kapumbu and Silimba into those wide areas, it was going to be trouble. So, shape number 3, Kapumbu, of course, one of the creator of some of the goals that ZESCO United created. But generally, Maite Mufulira Wanderers, they started defending compact. Of course, they do not want to leave space in the channels for Were, Kambole, and Sabumkama, and probably John Chigan to find space. But these are the 2 wingers that ZESCO are playing. They're not playing with traditional wingers, so both of them actually come inside and also trying to look for that space in the half spaces. And if they get their markers to follow them, that means space for the team as a whole. But that effect there of them condensing the attack and ZESCO United getting both wingers into those areas, plus the 2 forwards, of course, it becomes 4v4, and already Maite, they were not prepared to go against the philosophy or the discipline required when you need to zone or mark. But right there, I'm just thinking, Julie Manziva, the number 28, should be picking up the number 3 there, Faxon Kapumbu. And Sakulanda, the same, should be picking up. They've got no business of being narrow. Okay? They might probably allow ZESCO United a bit of space in the central areas to do what they want. But right there, and there's Were in there, there's Bombo, there's Kambole rather. It was always going to be difficult to allow the crosses to come in. And they came in and they conceded again. And yes, that this was the game that condemned them to relegation, Kelvin.
Very, very difficult in this situation. I think this is resulting from a quick transition from ZESCO United. And if you look at the areas where you had probably put a shade in the wide areas, where there's Simon Sulimba on the right and the Faxon is on the left. If you look at that graph again, maybe if you can just bring it back so that look at that graph, there's no one that is already closing on Faxon, and that's where the ball is. And the principles of defending are not really being applied in terms of the strikers. They're not helping the team to defend when they lose the ball. The ball is not far from the halfway line. And if we have to defend, we must defend as a team. But look at where Faxon is without an opponent. He's got all that area for him to cover. And the next player that is supposed to probably come and shut him down is the number 15. And if he moves away from that position, there's number 24 who is going to attack the space behind. And I think it made it very difficult for Maite. It shows that they were probably trying to plan for a game to get the results, but the transition from attack to defending, I think they could have worked on that. And I believe they've got a good coach that is able to work out the tactics, but I think the transition was a bit slow.
I'm just thinking, Vespa, this could have been a dressing room situation where you were told what to do in the game plan, but coach said, Ngatwalu Sabora. Nasha. Nasha. So how do you manage that? At what point do players need to be scolded at to say, take responsibility, pick up? Yes, I said remain high in transition, but pick up. More so that the 2 central strikers are not coming in to provide a shift in defense.
Yeah, there are players who sometimes they could see and where to adjust. You can even say, okay, here look at the way this guy is coming. He's always coming into our half and making crosses. Look at the ZESCO left back and the right back. They are always in attack. When ZESCO is attacking, they are there. Trying also to help in attack. And you find that, like you are saying, the coach maybe had he told some of his strikers that instead of you maybe following Kapungu, try to remain where he's coming from, so that when we have the ball, we may use the spaces where these guys are coming from. You can see he was alone there trying to even make crosses, and his crosses for sure, yes, made them even score maybe the 2 goals, which I saw him going, and some of them were even being missed. And you could see even to the right side it was also working. So you could see there might strikers, sometimes they would remain to say maybe when they have the ball they catch ZESCO into a counter attack, which was not working for them.
I'm just thinking now. So what do you do? Jules Manziba is the guy that gets 2 goals for you and is the one playing on the right hand side of midfield. Is he the guy you said drop back and become the man that makes it 3 versus 3, or you move with Kapumbu, move as Kapumbu moves, or you want one of your strikers? Because I'm just thinking you can't give the 2 strikers plus Jules Manziba free rein. Somebody needs to do the donkey work at that point.
It paid a bit of dividend in terms that probably the striker is the one that managed to get the goals, but do I just need a player that is going to be very effective when we are attacking? I need a player that is going to be effective both when we are attacking and when we are defending. And if they've got a player who's got the quality, like the qualities that Faxon Kapumbu has got, and there's no pressure, I think we'll be in trouble. I would definitely need a bit of assistance from my strikers just to shut him down and put a bit of pressure so that probably he doesn't go down the line and probably play the ball in the midfield where they had congested the midfield, and they were hoping to shut them down so that they bring the ball in the midfield where there was too much traffic.
Thinking about dilemmas, and probably this is one to think about as the new season unfolds. But let's just have a look at the mighty Mufulira Wanderers defending, because this is a game that saw them lose 3 goals to 2, thanks to that winning goal by Jesse Ware. But generally, here's what happens when ZESCO are attacking. So in the wider areas, Kapumbu and Silimba are free, but once the attack is further delayed and it becomes more condensed, you have mighty Mufulira Wanderers forming 2 banks of 4. But for ZESCO United, you've got the number 25 Jesse Ware, the number 10 Kambole, and the number 24 Enoch Sabumukama playing between the lines, so waiting for that pass. And the people who are responsible for threading that one and probably picking up how the attacks are constructed are those 2 in that circle, Akumo, the number 8, and the number 18 Kondwani Mtonga. They can go wide, pick up Kapumbu, Kapumbu puts in a cross, or if they like, they can go direct and try to pick one of those options between the lines. But with that defending, and you've got Macha and Kasongo again not coming back to stop those 2 from playing, and in any case, if one of them goes back, it will be 1v2. They could probably choose the left or right option. This was a tough game for Mighty, gentlemen. Tough.
It was, but look at that graph again and see where the ball is, and Mighty is still defending. And I said earlier on, it's just a bit of slight organization with the way their strikers, where they were supposed. I think they could have done something better. Probably track the opponents up to the halfway line.
Both of them
just track to the opponents up to the halfway line. If you look at that graph again, ZESCO probably attacking with quite some numbers, and Mighty had a very good shape. Look at their lines, the way they defended. Excellent. Look at the lines behind the back. They lack the support of the 2 strikers just to help to track the midfielders. And if you look at the 2 midfielders who are on the halfway line, even if Mighty cleared the ball, they were going to clear the second ball.
Yes. And that's the issue. If you give Kondwani Mtonga and Anthony Akumo the opportunity to win the second ball and dictate play, you are done.
Yeah, you are beaten badly, especially to a team which has got players who have tactical discipline like Kondwani Mtonga. And if you've seen of late the way he's been playing in the midfield, it's like he's enjoying his midfield role, Zite, which made the Mufulira Wanderers difficulty for them even to pass through the midfield. But you could see they tried at least to get into the wings, which also was difficult for them, whereby you find Kapungu there, and you know how strong those guys are. Yes, they tried to at least come out of the relegation. They played a good game, Zite, which I thought maybe anything can happen, especially when they were leading 2-1. You could see, I don't know, sometimes you find that there are players who to start thinking of maybe we've already won the game, they lost concentration. You could see that the way they allowed the goal, which they equalized to be 2-2. You saw the defenders trying to stand where they came in a free ball, which he just finished.
Yeah, it was a day of tap-ins, tap-ins. Now, I'm just thinking, could ZESCO United, the season has closed, they've won this game, but again, with Tenant Chamber, we've seen them, in the absence of Idris Mbombo Ilunga, they really don't have a traditional number 9. Yes, they've got Kalengo, they've got Kambole, but those look more like 10s. And in the Chamber era, we've seen them playing with almost a false 9. And we had Lazarus Kambole actually pulling Mufulira Wanderers defenders out of position because he was playing like that. It was great for the game. But do you think ZESCO United, they should get a striker, typical number 9 for Christmas? Because will all games be good enough to play with a false 9?
It depends, and I believe ZESCO have got the capacity to go on the market and probably look for what they need probably to strengthen their team, and if they feel they needed a typical number 9, they can get him. I think they have got the money. They are playing in the Champions League, and every player, it's a dream of every player probably to play in the Champions League, and I don't think they will have a problem if they are looking for a number 9, and if the coach is confident with probably playing with the fake number 9, it is working for him.
Yeah, Vespa, what would you like to see ZESCO get for Christmas?
Yeah, I think for me, I think I also support my coach that they should go for a shopping to check if they can get a striker, because if you look at Wele, he has scored maybe 22 or 23 goals, but if you look at who is following him at the club, you find that maybe he has scored 5 goals, so they need at least to be competing, so they need to buy maybe even 2 strikers who can be competing with Wele.
Okay. By the way, ZESCO have got a guy called Kasire. Maybe it will be the year that he'll be given an opportunity to prove his worth. More like a number 9, but yes, hasn't been in the reckoning to the end at the end of the season.